All right, well, when thinking about what I was going to do for this speech, I was kind of thinking like, what was the point for me, and then maybe what was the point for you guys. And I guess the point for me would be like just to get the practice as coach says, but also just to like reflect on things and look back on the things that I've done and seen, and maybe like the point for you guys maybe is to get to know me better and hopefully like in some way like relate or any other kind of thing. So my martial arts stuff started when I was pretty young. I started training when I was 8 and like in Kung Fu, which was at a little rec center, and it was pretty funny. Like we had like, I kind of had this like hillbilly instructor, and we would just like fight in there sometimes. Like it didn't look like a normal Kung Fu studio, but when we do like the normal stuff with the weapons and things like that. But I started training there when I was pretty young, and there was times when I remember like I would kind of flip-flop. There'd be times where I'd be a super tough kid and I'd like want to fight, and there'd be times where I was the opposite of that. We'd wear like our head guards, and if I got hit anywhere outside the head guard, I would cry. I was like, that's not allowed, even though it's not really like, the punch didn't have to be any harder, but I remember that. And then I had other times where it'd be like, I remember there was this bigger kid, and he would like kind of shoot in on my legs, and I would just like hammer him in the back of the head, which obviously it wasn't like good, but, and then I remember one time he got me down, and I was like healing him in the back. Like, and I was like, man, like, I was nasty back then, but then there's like, it would shift, you know, and I feel like that kind of happened throughout like even my sports career. Like, I played baseball, and there was times where I'd be like a really good fielder and times where I'd be like a really good hitter, but never in the same season. And I remember like one season I was with one of my teammates. He's like, yeah, like you suck at baseball, like you're only good at fielding. At the time, like I was like, damn, that hurt. But now it's like, that's half the game, motherfucker. Like, that's a weird insult, but now that at the time it really made me sad. I was like, hey. Then I transitioned to basketball, and it was kind of similar. I'd be like, I'd have really good seasons and then have really bad seasons. I wasn't sure why. So then I kind of kept training. I always wanted to fight, but I never would tell people that. Like they'd be like, oh, like, do you want to fight? Like, oh, no, I just do this, whatever. And so then I go to a boxing gym when I'm 18, and this guy's like, oh, there's a fight in 3 months. Do you want to do it? And I say yes, but I probably keep it from my family for a little while. And then I used to ride to work with my mom. We worked at the same airport for a little bit. And I told her in the car, and it was the longest car ride home. Like, she was so pissed. And so I remembered that, and I was like, I'm not going to do that again. So I ended up losing that fight, and only my dad came. So then when it's time for me to take my second fight, I do not tell my parents at all, and I'm living with them in the summer. And so then it's Wednesday, and my mom like calls me, and she's like, oh, like I'm making like spaghetti tonight. And I was like, oh, I can't eat that because I have to weigh in on Friday. So then again, like I thought she was mad the first time. She was more mad that time. So I don't know if any of you guys have had that experience, but since then I've told them, but yeah, so we'll see. And then, so I had that fight. I also lost that fight too, and it was kind of the same thing. I always felt like I just couldn't do it. I couldn't have myself like from practice coming to the fights, and I couldn't put it together. So after that, I started just doing kickboxing, and I traveled around and was doing that, and I was doing well in that. And I kind of thought, like, this was like my topic being self-assessment today. Like I kind of thought that it was like, oh, like it was my grappling. It was, and I used that as the confidence booster. I was like, oh, now I'm just striking, and that was what the problem was. But now as I like move on, I know that wasn't what the problem was. The problem was more just the belief and the confidence. It wasn't, and that me transitioning to Muay Thai allowed me a reason to give myself without actually having to think about like why am I struggling. So I was doing just Muay Thai, and then I was like, well, this is what I'm going to do. And then I went to Thailand for a little while, and I took a couple fights there. Like my first one, I'm at the arena, and they come and get me, and they're like, oh, like you're going to fight here in 10 days. And they take you to the back, and like you're in this like shitty building. It's like, it smells like cigarettes. It's gross. And like they put you in the gloves like right then, and they took like my poster picture, and I was like white. I was so scared. And then like they posed that on the poster. But anyways, like, so you don't know who you're fighting. I show up, and I'm like, I keep asking my instructor. I was like, oh, like, you think I can win this one? And he's like, oh, it doesn't matter. Win or lose, we still get paid. Like that. I was like what the little Thai dude said to me. So I won that fight, and then they take my pictures again. They do all this, and then they book me for my second fight. And then, this is not really that important, but they used the same picture from the first one instead of the one where I looked good after I won, you know? So that was another reason why the Thais just didn't care about that shit. But, so then I have my second fight in Thailand, and that one goes really well. I go like 5 rounds, and I like went a lot of it in the clinch because the guy was skilled, but he was kind of fat. Like, I'm not gonna lie about the quality of my position. Like, he started off really well, but then he got tired, so I was like fucking him up in the clinch, which isn't like normal for a white guy. So I felt really cool at the end of that. Like, all the Thais loved me. Like, I knocked out my first guy, and it was funny because like all the tourists will come up to you after that, but none of the Thais cared. But after my second fight, like all the Thais liked me, but like none of the white girls that were at the bar did. So. They were like, the whole time. But so I moved back, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I graduated college in between this. Like, but I just forget. I forget that I did that. You know, it's not, it doesn't seem like a big deal now. But my mom, that one she was happy about. I actually liked that one. But so I get home. I don't really know what I'm gonna do, and I end up going to Jack's Wink, like, because they had these dorms and they were advertising them, and I was like, well, at least I can like have a place to live. So I like tell her, I'm gonna go there for 3 months, and then I ended up staying there for 3 years. And well, my experience there was pretty good, you know. So this was kind of like me starting again at MMA, and I was still pretty hesitant. And I took a fight, and I was like, all right, well, if this one doesn't go well, then it's just like MMA is just not for me. I'll just like do whatever, like Muay Thai or whatever. And then I took a fight with this like big old French kid, and he was pretty jacked. He looked good, like, but. He starts off with a kick. I ended up knocking him out in 20 seconds. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm good at this. Like, so then I took another one. I knocked that guy out. And then after that, I started to kind of get stuck in the rut because it was like, the gym's atmosphere is a lot different. And it's like, you kind of think that they've got like your best interest in mind, but then you really like, I was kind of stuck in this rut where it was like, I was helping everybody else out, so they were cool with me, like kind of just like spinning my wheels. So like, no one was helping me get fights. No one was like, trying to tell me what was next. It was more like, oh, like you're doing great. Like it was all compliments, but then it was, as long as you're doing what we need for you, like it's all good. So I ended up like kind of changing up everything and just working with my friends. And then I took like my pro debut, and that fight was a little bit different. Like I like the 30 seconds in, I get like poked in the eye, and it's like bleeding out of my eye. And I've never experienced anything like it. And like in my head, like I remember like being in a panic, like. The doctor's wiping my eye, and like, she's like, can you see? But I was like, you got this fucking towel in my eye, I can't see anything now. But it's like, I wake up and like, I wake up, I was awake. I was thinking of my last fight on that, my bad. That one hurt me a little bit. But anyways, the guys, like, she's wiping and I can't see anything out of it, but I know for like 1 second I can like lie about it. So I was like, yeah, I can see. And like the doctor kind of like puts his fingers up and I can barely see it, and I just like tell him. So I keep going, and then fight is going, and I end up hitting him with a knee, and as he shot in, and they're like, oh, he was down. And it was another moment where I was like, I just felt like I was going to quit again. I was like, what? Like, I don't care, just disqualify me, like it's over. But then they keep it going, but I ended up knocking him out in the 3rd round. And then after that, I was like, oh, okay, like maybe this is for me. And I started to kind of see that like maybe my assessments of that I've given myself in the past were more based off of, you know, like easy answers, right? So sometimes like something goes wrong, and it's really easy to say, well, oh, maybe I'm just not good at this part, or maybe like it's this part. But sometimes it's more complicated than that. And more of the time, it's usually like something that you're doing internally that's like causing you to do it. And then, you know, when I look around this room, I see like a lot of like really talented individuals, and I know that now. And so what I kind of want to pass on to you guys is like, I've been in there with guys who fought for UFC world titles, like, you know, sparred thousands of rounds and all these things with those guys. And like this group is at that level, and like I know that sometimes you're gonna feel like maybe it's not me, like maybe I'm not doing what they're doing, but like I promise you that it is happening here. And I promise that like the big guys that I've been training with here, like you guys are that, and then can be more. So I know like, that's kind of like I kind of like try to say that because I try to tell myself that now too. I'm trying to like tell myself, you know, I can be all those things, and then it puts you in that accountability too, because now you're forced to do it, because you're telling like you're like, I believe in it now. So now it's like up to you to actually go do it. So that's kind of been my self-assessment since coming here, and it's like something I'm really working on after my last fight. Is like really just say like starting off and say like I am good enough right now, and then you trying to like look honestly at the things you actually have to do to like live up to that potential. And I just also want to say thank you to all you guys. Like I'm happy to be here. Like I made a good decision coming here, and I'm excited to see like what happens next for all of us, and I also thank you, coach, as well. So thank you guys.